Hey there, friends and neighbors. Dan Cavallari, Dawn Patrol MTB, and this is an episode of In the Garage. Normally, this would take place in my garage, but today we're actually on the road. We're here in Golden, Colorado at Alchemy Bicycles Experience Center, and I am here to chat with Alchemy's founder, Ryan Cannizzaro. Ryan, well, welcome to my garage.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Yeah,
this is kind of like our garage.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna borrow it. I'm co-opting it for today. Ryan, you recently opened this space, I mean, like a month ago, right?
Yep.
Month and a half ago. So the Experience Center, what exactly is it besides just, they get this cool coffee bar, we got all the manufacturing back here, we got this beautiful showroom.
Yeah.
What is the Experience Center, and why did you decide that this was something you wanted to pursue?
It's mostly a destination for our riders, and riders just in the area can come by. As you can see, we kind of designed it to be a place for cyclists to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, we've only been in this location for about a month. We opened up the doors a little over a month ago. But the idea is come by, get an espresso, a beer, soda, water. If you're riding the local trails or, roads, you can stop by and hang out, talk bikes,
Nice.
see bikes being made as well.
I'm totally going to abuse this. I'm going to be here all the time. One of my favorite rides is right out the door here is Apex.
Yeah.
And not far from here is Matthews Winners in that direction.
Right.
Lots of riding, so people can actually come here. Can they demo a bike and actually go the trails?
Yeah. So we have a full demo fleet
Mm-hmm.
that you can come and ride. You basically, like you said, you have Apex right there, Matthews Winners right across the street as well.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why we loved moving to this location, is that you can ride right out of here.
Sure. Now, the Experience Center is really cool. It is quite an experience. It's a beautiful space. There's the bar right here. There's the manufacturing. But I guess the big question I think a lot of people will want to ask is, what is exactly Alchemy Bicycles? I mean, where did it come from? How long has it been around? Tell me just briefly, how was Alchemy born, and how did you end up here?
So the company was founded. I founded the company in 2008. We basically started in a spot smaller than this showroom.
Okay.
It was literally a garage.
Yeah. The best thing start in a garage.
And really the goal, the dream, was to just produce what we felt was the best bicycle, and not cut any corners. So from day one, 2008, it was all about just producing the best bicycle, and then kind of, charging what we had to charge for that bike instead of the other way around, and starting with maybe price first, or other factors. Like I find that I founded the company just to really produce a better bicycle, not cut any corners. So we started as a titanium and chromoly custom builder.
Right.
And the titanium part of it was what really interests me, because you can really fine tune the ride quality of titanium bikes by picking certain types of titanium, wall thicknesses, diameter, things like that, putting bends in, chain stays or seat stays, and really fine tune the ride quality. In 2010, Matt Machuzak started at Alchemy and brought carbon fiber. So he's our engineer here, product developer, and he brought carbon fiber to Alchemy. So he's still here, still designs all the bikes, full suspension bikes. So we've just grown over the what has it been now? Geez, 14 years. And we moved here and like I said, just about a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you doing before you started Alchemy?
I was just working
Yeah.
corporate life, yeah. But my dream ever since college was to have a bike manufacturing company. So everything I did in college, really, business school, was on bikes and bike manufacturing and doing research and
Yeah.
talking to bike shops, talking to other people in the industry, and just trying to find my way in this industry.
So I mean that in itself is pretty unique. I mean, coming at this from a business perspective, I think a lot of people come into this with a whole lot of passion and
Yeah,
not a whole lot of business sense. It
yeah.
seems like you came in with both.
Well, I had the passion, but yeah, did my research and yeah, brought this. I had to do a business plan and whatnot to find the investment, and brought the business side to it as well.
Hmm. Now, when you were coming up with this idea, and there was already a crop of manufacturers putting out pretty excellent bikes.
Yeah,
Going into that, I mean, first of all, that must have been daunting to be going up against those heavy hitters. But second of all, you had to know that you had to do something different. What was that focus? What was the difference that you were hoping to bring to everybody?
just not compromising, on everything from the materials we use to on the frames to the components that we put on the frames.
Hmm.
So, my original goal was just to not compromise on quality.
Hmm.
So everything that we've done from the very beginning has been that. Um, where even to, today on the mountain bikes, like going full Fox factory, for example,
Yeah.
on like a GX build, that's that's our core. That's what we do.
So the like you said before, the price follows the cachet of the bike in a
Yeah.
sense. Has there been any over the years? Has there been any pushback on that where people are saying, "Boy, I love your bikes, but I just wish there was like an entry level model or anything like that"?
It's been brought up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just not something that, I mean, it's funny you ask that because we just had a meeting the other day about like, are we missing some of the market
Hmm.
by not having that lower price point bike?
Hmm.
And, the answer is probably yes, but that's not the DNA of Alchemy. That's
Hmm.
not what we've been doing for, since 2008.
Hmm.
So in my mind, trying to chase that price game to sell more bikes is just not something uh, me as the founder is willing to do.
Sure. And I guess, when you think about alchemy, it is sort of I hate to use this term because it's kind of lazy, but boutique, right?
Totally
The
boutique.
fancier way to say it is bespoke these
Right.
days. Is that something that you don't bristle at that term? I mean, is it something like that's become a core tenet of what you're doing? I mean, to have that sort of cachet, but also the
Yeah,
performance aspect. I mean, does bespoke and does custom and boutique that appeals to you as a business? Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the performance follows that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we're not doing this to sell 100,000 bikes, a year.
Hmm.
We like that boutique kind of feel. We like being direct to consumers, or as we call it, direct to rider,
Hmm.
to keep that kind of boutique, smaller quantity, keep the quality high,
Hmm.
and just do what we love.
Sure. Now, one of the things that does separate you from a lot of the competition is that we're here in Golden, Colorado, like I said, and you're teasing me. I'm looking at the trails right from here,
Yeah,
and here we're sitting here in the air conditioning talking.
yeah,
But one of the things that does separate you from a lot of the competition is that you are manufacturing right here in house.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit. Has that always been the case? Did you start with in-house manufacturing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we started as a titanium and chromoly, mostly road, custom. So built to order, custom geometries. In 2015, we built the first full suspension carbon fiber mountain bike in the U.S.
Hmm.
So our core DNA is kind of USA made bikes. The Arctos is still prototyped here, but not made here just because we outgrew what we're capable of doing in this facility.
Hmm.
We still do all the prototyping. We still make all the prototypes. We ride them. We build them here to test them. What we do back there manufacturing bikes is really uh, at the is really ingrained in us.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I think maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that I wasn't back there building bikes.
Hmm.
And same with Matt, engineer. So
Yeah.
it's what we love to do.
Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you do differently in the manufacturing process. You walked us through the manufacturing space a little while ago and showed us some things that I've seen some aspects of that done at other companies, but not quite the way you're doing it. So tell me a little bit about some of the without you don't have to give away your trade
Right,
secrets, but
right.
just some of the things that you're doing that are a little different.
So on the carbon fiber road and gravel bikes, we build those in a tube-to-tube construction. There's several reasons why we do that. One is we can get custom geometries out of it. So we can pretty much build any geometry using a tube-to-tube construction. We also have our proprietary layup schedules. So with carbon, if you change the way that those fibers kind of overlay each other, it
Hmm.
totally changes the way that the bike functions. So we use a tube-to-tube construction. We have different layup schedules for every single tube of the bike. So, a down tube needs to function different than a top tube. So we have different layup schedules for that. So that's super proprietary to our manufacturing
Hmm.
process, where most road and gravel carbon fiber bikes are made as a monocoque. So it's a little bit different. It allows us to do custom geometries. It allows us to fine tune the ride quality of the bike. It also creates a closed chamber within the bike where a lot of monocoque frames are not. We think that closed chamber kind of helps a little bit with the road chatter as well. We also do titanium bikes out of here, which are pretty unique in themselves.
Hmm.
And we do all the mitering, welding, bending, everything in-house. We have our kind of custom blend titanium that we use. It's all USA titanium, USA made titanium, but obviously we can't make that in-house. Where the
Sure.
carbon, we actually start with the pre-preg and we make all the tubes in-house.
Hmm.
But it is still kind of our proprietary blend of titanium, wall thicknesses, type of titanium that we use, where we put bends, where we squash, down tubes and things like that. That all has to do with the ride characteristics of the bike. On the mountain bike side, what we do different than a lot of manufacturers is we make the actual bike here first. So we create the layup schedules, we build the bike, all of us ride it. Um, we'll make changes, we'll do everything in house before we hand it off to our partner that can produce them at
Sure.
the quantities that we need them produced. So we know when we hand it off, it is getting made the exact same way as we would make it in
Yeah,
house.
yeah. So all the prototyping happens here, and it's actually pretty neat. There's that one prototype back there that's a full bike,
Yeah,
totally unpainted, unbranded, but
yeah,
you can test that right here on the trails and get a sense of
exactly.
whether it lives up to the Alchemy standards. I mean, without
Yeah.
having to outsource things, it's all housed right here. So just a lot more control over the parameters of what you're doing.
It is a lot more control, and we also then know what we're getting as an end product coming back to
Hmm.
us,
Hmm.
because it's like, here's exactly how we want it
Yeah,
manufactured,
yeah,
how we want the layup,
sure.
the weight of the bike. Um, so we've even worked with our partnership to build them at higher quantities, um, to uh, to build them the way that we want them. So, sometimes we'll have the conversation with them because it's like, oh, can we change this so it's easier, to produce in quantities?
Hmm.
And it's like, no, you can't. But here's what we did to produce it and how we made it.
Right.
And then that conversation happens back and forth because we want it made the same way that we manufacture it here to start.
One of the neat things about this facility is that it is set up to control almost every aspect of the manufacturing, right down to paint, which we're
Yep.
going to talk about in just a second. But I want to talk a little bit about scale. I mean, you think about this facility and what you're capable of doing here. Usually, that kind of capability is reserved for much larger brands. I mean, because it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of planning and effort. How did you get there so quickly? First of all, and that's at a smaller scale. That clearly that's something you want to maintain, is that smaller scale for
Yeah.
more control or whatever it is. But how did you scale that down so that it works for you?
So it's been a learning process, I guess, over the years. We when we built that, I guess when we built the full suspension bike in-house. So we originally started making it here before we outgrew our production. So the first Arctos 27.5 was built here. Um, so I think I guess my point of that is Matt and I always talk, and it's not like in 2010 we were just going to come out and build a full suspension bike.
Right.
So it's been this process. Like I said, at the beginning of this conversation, we started off in like a 900 square foot garage, and really it's been this 14-year process of just learning and
Yeah.
building, and getting better at it, and getting better at it, and getting better at it. I think you mentioned something about how do you compete with the bigger companies, and that's always been our issue because we put most of our time and energy into the product,
Right.
and we don't have and it's kind of like we let the product kind of market itself,
Hmm.
and that's been really how we've scaled
Hmm.
over the years. We don't have the capabilities like some of the bigger brands to go out there and market and spend a ton of money on
Sure.
marketing and things like that. So that's been the biggest struggle of scaling,
Hmm.
is just getting word out there, and getting more people on the bikes. Uh, Once people usually ride them, they're stuck on them.
Right.
So it's worked for us.
So one of the other things that separates you from a lot of other builders, especially boutique builders, is that you're doing a lot of your paint in, or all of your paint in-house. Tell me about that process, because you use a pretty interesting process called Cerakote. Tell me about that process.
So we do offer Cerakote. Cerakote is a ceramic coating. You can apply it a lot in a lot thinner layer, and it's going to be very durable.
Hmm.
So that's a process that we've been working on over the past year. We do it in-house. It's very rare for the bike industry. We've really figured out the process. We've worked with Cerakote, that's actually the brand name, to apply it to carbon fiber and apply it to bicycles. But we also use PPG paint.
Hmm.
And one of the unique things that we do on both sides, both the Cerakote and the paint side, is that we don't use any decals.
Hmm.
So everything that you see on the frames is painted on the frames, where a lot of the frames, especially mass-produced frames, uh, they'll lay down the decal and then they'll clear coat over that to basically seal that decal in there, where everything here is hand painted. The other thing that we do is we don't use any fillers to smooth out the frame. So a lot of manufacturers will fill in kind of low points in the frame, or and then paint over it. We don't do that. We use clear coat for everything. So a lot of our customers on the road and gravel side will just put a few logos on it, maybe paint the inside of the fork or something like that, and then just clear coat over the frame so that you can see all the carbon.
Hmm.
You can see basically the craftsmanship that has gone into the bike.
That's
So
pretty cool.
the whole process is a little bit different, which is a little hard to communicate as well,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It's hard for a customer until they actually see it in person
Sure.
to understand, wow, I can really, if I clear coat the frame, I can see everything that went into it,
Hmm.
every piece, carbon fiber that's been laid down, and see the quality of the build as well.
Hmm. I'm curious, a lot of this, we talked about how beautiful the bikes look and, the boutique aspect of it, but there's also a lot of engineering in it and a lot of, a lot of product and R&D testing behind it. Tell me a little bit about the sine wave suspension, because I think that's sort of a key aspect of the Arctos and the mountain bikes you're making.
Hmm.
How did you land with that suspension design and what makes it different?
We met David Earl, who was the original designer and had the patents on the science suspension. So David Earl has a lot of experience from working with Santa Cruz way back on the VPP system.
Right.
Um, then he kind of went off on his own, started his own company, and patented the Yeti switch system.
Hmm.
Yeti decided to go with the Switch Infinity. So David used the patents from the Switch that he owned, and what he had kind of learned from the VPP and his whole career, and created the sign suspension. So we met David and became really good friends. And Matt, our engineer, and David are super good friends. And we ended up purchasing those patents from David. And then for the past 3 or 4 years, it's all in house. So originally, David was the designer of the kinematics. But over the years, we've taken it over and design all the kinematics on the bike.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, to most recently, really coming up with the kinematics that for 3 different models. So for the rear suspension, we have the 120, the 135, and the 150.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's all on the same frame. So you can actually convert the frame.
Right.
So, we sell conversion kits as well. And that was all done in-house. All the kinematics were done in-house. And again, just like we were talking about on components and spec and quality, when we had the idea to make one frame, 3 different travels, the conversation that Matt and I had was, we will not do it if we have to compromise on the kinematics.
Hmm.
So great idea,
Right.
because it kind of future proofs your bike. Or if you travel and ride, different trails where, maybe your backyard, you want a 120,
Right. Right.
but you go out to Moab or something, you want a 150, you don't need 2 bikes. You literally in 10 minutes can convert your bike from a 120 to a 150. But that's what we wanted. That was the goal, but never to compromise on the kinematics of it. So we didn't want, a bike that was good, but not great at everything. And um, fortunately, Matt was able to design the kinematics to work
Hmm.
by using, just different shock and an extender link
Hmm. Hmm.
in there to get the right kinematics.
Hmm. So really, I mean, and that the Arctos is an interesting beast because I've ridden it in all 3 configurations. I've done the 120, I've done the 135,
Yeah,
and the 150. And what's remarkable about it is that the kinematics do feel familiar,
yeah,
regardless of what setup you're running. It all feels very similar across the platforms. The geometry changes slightly, but it doesn't feel like it's compromising. When you go, especially if you go from the 150 to 135,
right,
it's remarkably similar. You're just
right,
getting more travel.
yeah.
What were some of the design challenges there? I mean, how did you work around that and make sure that that consistency was translatable across the platforms? Was that just really, Matt in the computer running numbers, or was that a lot of actual going out and riding the bike?
It's both.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see with the kinematics, you can see you can see it on the computer,
Mm.
and you can mock it up, and keeping that kind of sine wave, right, throughout all 3 travels was the key. And I think that's what you're feeling
Mhm.
because, you want what the sign you want to keep the kinematics kind of like when you're pedaling uphill, where you're sitting at and then, when you're going down. So the idea behind it is to try and keep that sine wave consistent
Mhm.
through all three travels.
Mhm.
It's a pretty interesting process because you can change any point on there and change the kinematics of it and lose that sine wave,
Right.
which the suspension platform's known for.
Mhm.
So we had to be able to come up with all three that work in the same kind of pivot point, same area,
Mhm.
without giving up what the sine suspension is known for.
Sure. So tell me what's next for Alchemy. What do you have on the horizon now that you've got this amazing facility and you've got this up and running? And I assume it's completely easy now for you and no speed bumps at all.
Yeah, right.
What's next? What's on the agenda for Alchemy in the next year or so?
So we really want to build out, making this kind of that destination point. We just came out with a program called Dare Golden. So we have a Dare program in place. We've always had it in place, and that's basically discover the Alchemy Ride experience, where you can purchase a bike from us and ride it on your local trails, and you have 30 days, like no questions asked. If you're not happy with the bike
Sure.
on your local trails, you can return it. Doesn't happen. It's very rare.
Sure.
But we also created, when we moved into this location, the Dare Golden package, where our riders can come out, uh, buy a bike, stay at the hotel for free for a night. So we're in this kind of area you've seen. There's a coffee shop,
Yeah.
there's a brewery.
Hmm.
Um, get a $20 gift coup basically card for the brewery,
Nice.
and get a burrito and coffee in the morning from the coffee shop.
Uh-huh.
So we really want to work on that. We think it's a new buying experience in the industry where you can come straight to the manufacturer um, and see the bikes being made. So building that out, I think is really a goal of ours. Not only for the customer to have the experience, but also for us to get to know our customers, our riders better.
Yeah.
So that is super cool, and that's what has us excited right now is to really build that out. Of course, the conversation's always an e-mountain bike, and the question's always, when are you guys going to get into, the e-mountain bikes? So, we keep an eye on that type of stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's really just about making sure that we keep up with the newest, latest, and greatest technology, and our bikes have it.
Hmm.
So as we develop more bikes, we always consider what's out there, what can make our bikes better,
Yeah.
and and we explore it.
Hmm.
As far as like the e-mountain bike side go, it's really hard. We talked about how we're a smaller company, boutique company. Um, it's really hard for a company our size to um, to keep up with that technology.
Hmm.
You're talking about a couple year development process, and then and how quickly are the batteries and motors and everything changing,
Right.
and so the time and effort that goes into it. So um, we look at the e-mountain bikes, and we want to hopefully someday get into that because we think it's here to stay. We think it's super cool. It gets a lot of people on bikes. You go faster, you go further, but a company our size, it's a big investment to invest in something like that where the technology is changing so
Sure.
so quickly and so often.
Yeah. Ryan Cannizzaro, Alchemy Bicycles. I'm going to ask you the hardest question of the whole interview. Where can people find you on social media?
Just at Alchemy Bicycles or Alchemy Bikes,
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook,
And if
We're up.
people want to come out here and check out the center, the experience center, they can find all that information on the website.
Yeah, it's all on the website. You know, if you want to travel out here and stay in the hotel, we book all that for you.
Cool.
So that's just a simple phone call and say, hey, I want to do this, you know, Dare Golden package, and we'll arrange all the travel for you once you come into town. We can even get you to and from the airport if you need it, and book your hotel room. So
Cool.
it's
I'm gonna have you guys book all my travel. This sounds great.
yeah, yeah, you'd have to buy a couple bikes for
Yeah,
us
yeah.
to
All
do
right.
that.
Well, that's twists my arm. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan, for your time, and thanks for welcoming us into your garage for our new
Yeah,
garage, just mine for today.
yeah.
Uh, and of course, if you have questions for me, you can reach out on Instagram and Twitter at Dawn Patrol MTB, and of course, find us on our website dawnpatrolmtb.com. We've got all sorts of great content going up every day, so please check that out. Thank you, Ryan. It's wonderful to be here, and I want you to show me around and show me the manufacturing
Cool.
now.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Thanks.
We'll catch you guys next time on the next In the Garage.